And welcome to another GamingStooges Talks, another game review. This is actually technically a pair of games, but... Details. Alright, so we are doing Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Red Rescue Team and Blue Rescue Team, for the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS, respectively. The two games were developed by Chunsoft and were published by Nintendo. They were released in the United States in 2006. They are the first of the series, or the Mystery Dungeon series, and they feature all Pokemon from generations 1, 2, and 3. And, yeah, let's just get started.
Alright, so basically how Pokemon Mystery Dungeon works is, if you've ever heard of the Mystery Dungeon series, which is Chunsoft series, it is a Pokemon version of that where you play as a Pokemon in a world that is completely and utterly just all Pokemon. There's no humans anywhere in the world. And your character is actually a human who somehow managed to turn into a Pokemon. And you go around trying to figure out why you used to be human and turned into a Pokemon, while at the same time creating a rescue team with the first Pokemon friend that you made as a Pokemon. All those dungeons are randomly generated, so if you go into a dungeon, floor 1 of that dungeon is not going to be the same every time you go into it. It's going to look the same, but the layout is going to be different every time. This actually happens in quite a few RPGs that are similar to that. Like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, the way it works is you have to find an exit of the floor, and this is before a timer that is unspecific runs out and pushes you outside of the dungeon. And in order to go through these dungeons, you need to form a rescue team because in the dungeon you are attacked by various wild enemy Pokemon. Unlike the main series, it has an actual story to it outside of just, trying to become the champion or catch all the Pokemon. Aside from the plot where you have to figure out why you're a human turning into a Pokemon, which most of the games, but not all of them, is a few of the recent ones. But in Mystery Dungeon Red and Blue, not only are you trying to find out that, but as the story unfolds, you are set up by an evil, well, not an evil, but a group of mean Pokemon that are also a rescue team. And they basically make your life a living hell.
Pretty much.
Assholes, all of them.
Yeah.
Especially that Gengar.
Yeah, they actually make everybody in the town just about believe that you were turned into a Pokemon as a very bad sign, because at the same time as everything that's going on is going on, there's also natural disasters that are happening far frequently than they should be. And Gengar basically says, hey, this guy right here, this little fucker that decided I'm going to become a Pokemon even though I'm human, this guy's the reason that all the disasters are happening. And then everybody was like, and they believe him.
And then you're like, but I don't know Earthquake.
And then they chased him and his team, well, not his team, because obviously
His partner Pokemon.
His partner Pokemon are chased out of the area, out of their hometown, the little base that they have right outside of town anyway. And you have to go on this long, but honestly pretty epic trek in order to confront several legendary Pokemon and meet up with a Pokemon named Zatu, and then eventually a Pokemon named Ninetales, obviously, to figure out why are you transformed into a Pokemon and what's going on with all the natural disasters.
Yeah.
So, pretty much, the story, there's several different plots going on at the same time. And the big overarching plot is natural disasters are happening, and they have to figure out a reason that this is happening and what they can do to stop it. But that's just the main story. There's actually, the thing about the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games is when you beat the main story and the credits roll, that's just the beginning of the game.
Literally. I mean, that's just, that's your plot to get you ready for the game.
The game. So, Landon, would you like to discuss the game mechanics and how gameplay works?
Okay. So, well, to start off, when you start the game, you're given a quiz that will determine your player, the Pokemon you become. And so depending on your answers, you will be given a Pokemon, and of course you can cheat to get a certain Pokemon, or you can just find out what you get normally. And then you're chosen a partner Pokemon based off of the typing you ended up picking. So if, for example, you are a Bulbasaur, you cannot get a grass type, so you can't be paired up with a Chikorita or Trico, but you can be paired up with a Mudkip or Cyndaquil, for instance. And there's the main Pokemon Square in your when you set up your rescue team in your base. There's a Pokemon Square which acts as your town, your hub center, where you buy, items, you train a little bit.
There's a bank.
There's a bank, you store your money. There's also the rescue board that will issue you your missions. And the missions have different ranks for how hard it is based on, the dungeon you're going into, how far you have to go to, and what kind of mission it is. So, delivering, an Oron berry to someone in a 3-floor dungeon of tiny woods is going to be really easy compared to rescuing someone that's 50 floors into a bottomless pit. It's going to be a little bit harder.
Those are pretty much your bread and butter, since that actually guides pretty much all of the game for you when you actually go dungeon exploring.
Yeah, that's
all of these. But we'll get into that later. There's also the training grounds.
There's a training grounds, which, like I said, it's one of the places where you train. There's the Wishcast Pond, which in post-game acts as a way for you to evolve your Pokemon. It's also where the elder, or the kind of mayor type person, resides. And then there's the post office, which is where the rescue board is posted.
That's mostly for wireless functions.
Yeah, that too. There's some wireless functioning in the game, which we'll probably eventually get to, which is more for, if you fail, someone can come in, and rescue your team for you. And then for the actual dungeons, like Cloud mentioned earlier, they're completely randomized, so you're never going to get the same experience twice, because, well, it's just dead. You could be playing, you're going to go through the same dungeons multiple times, because, well, in order to rank up your dungeon badge, because each mission you go on gives you experience towards your team, and so eventually your team will get a rank up. They'll become more well known. They'll be able to take harder missions, and you'll be able to get access to different areas that you weren't able to before. The actual dungeon themselves it's It's nothing like the main RPGs.
Yeah.
It's basically a semi-turn-based game, so kind of in a way like Fire Emblem is set up, except not really.
The best way I can describe it is, it's not a very well-known game, but it's about as popular as Pokemon Mystery Dungeon is. So, if you've ever played either of the Dark Cloud games, the dungeon crawling is very similar because both of those games have absolutely randomized dungeons, randomized where you are, randomized where the exit is. In both kind of games, you could find yourself all the way on the other side of the floor from where the exit is, and in the same game, you might end up randomly coming across a floor that literally has the exit right in front of your face.
Yeah.
Hell, sometimes you'll come across a floor that has the target and the friggin' exit right in front of your face.
Pretty much. But unlike Dark Cloud 2, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon do not require an item to go to the exit. The only thing you need is just find the stairs and explore.
Yeah.
The first early dungeons in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, as you would expect, which is the same for any dungeon crawling game, have few floors, so that way you can get acquainted with the gameplay while not being forced into a very long, rough-winded dungeon. But as you progress through the game, the dungeons get bigger and bigger, and they start at about 3 to 4 floor dungeons, and then they slowly reach up to 10, 15, 20, and by the time you reach the post-game, you're facing 99 floor dungeons, 50 floor dungeons, pretty much all across. Which this sounds really, really daunting, but like I said earlier, the fact that you can sometimes find the exit right next to you to the next floor, it often isn't as bad as it sounds.
No, but when you get to post game, those dungeons really love to reset your level to level 1 for the dungeon. So that's where the real challenge is.
All right, we'll get back to that in a second. You might as well explain the gameplay now.
For the actual gameplay, like I said, it's semi-turn-based, so like how Fire Emblem type games are set up, all those turn-based like strategy type games, where you have tiles, you move, but unlike what Fire Emblem does, is where you have a spread of tiles, you literally move one tile at a time, you get one movement. You get a movement, your partners get a movement, each.
And then all enemies on the floor get one.
Yes, and so if there aren't like a lot of things happening at once, it's really seamless and you just walk. But when you get like people needing to attack, if you've sent them off to, okay, you can go and attack, whatever, go for it. You'll get the camera panning to when they attack or something happens.
Pokemon Mystery Dungeon in that regard. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, well, generally how it works is that it's like, if there's like nothing on the screen besides you and your team, it'll just feel like you're just walking your merry way. But when there's like a ton of Pokemon, that's when it starts to slow down a bit.
The best comparison I can make to the movement system in Mystery Dungeon is actually, honestly, any tabletop RPG like Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that.
Yeah.
You get, unlike those games though, where you can sometimes move and then do an action. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, everything is one turn.
Yeah.
One movement is one turn, an attack is one turn. On that note, while everything takes one turn, you run into enemy Pokemon along the way often, and you can do normal attack, which is not present in the main series Pokemon games. It's only in Mystery Dungeon where you'll do a typeless physical attack on the opponent to try to do some damage to them. And then also coming from the main series games, each Pokemon can have 4 special attacks or moves that can do certain things depending on what the move does in the main series games, basically. They're all based off of moves.
Basically, your Razor Leaf, Vine Whip, your Flamethrower, Bubble.
Anything that you found in that game can be found in this game. And they'll do basically the same thing. If you do a status-inflicting move, or if your opponent does it to you, it actually will signal this on the Pokemon by having a down arrow above them. There'll always be a little icon near your Pokemon sprite to tell you if something is wrong with them, be it a status ailment or if your stats are down.
Or if you've been buffed.
Or if you've been buffed too. That also.
Yeah, I think it's like an up arrow instead.
Yeah. There are also tiles on the floor, which are called wonder tiles, I believe. They will.
It resets all stats.
It'll reset all of your status.
Yeah.
In addition to attacking Pokemon and trying to defeat them when you run into them, and obviously the moving around the dungeon, you can speed all this up if you hold down the run button in normal games, the button.
Yeah.
You can speed it up a little bit. In addition to the wonder tiles and the Pokemon you can also find items and money just kind of strewn about. Most of these items are berries. Berries are actually much more useful in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon than they are in the main series games, to the point where they are absolutely necessary, because Pokemon, obviously, as has been explained in the main series games, they can't use man-made items because they don't know how to. So, in place of that, all of the berries are in the game to heal your status ailments, and the stuff that heals your HP, like the Oran berries, have been bumped up in efficiency so they can work for you most of the time.
Yeah.
Like, they don't heal like crappy amounts. All of this takes up actions.
Yeah.
They also Pokemon are required to keep what's called a belly full. They have a belly, obviously, because Pokemon, they need to eat. And if they don't eat, this belly meter, which is in the status menu, which we'll talk about in just a second, since that's an extension to the gameplay, if it runs out, they can actually start to damage themselves gradually as they move because they haven't eaten anything. Most of the time you won't run into this problem, but you have to keep your belly up, which is on a scale of 100, because if it runs out, you damage. But you can heal it by either eating apples, which are specifically made only to heal your belly, which usually does like a very high amount, or berries will heal a little bit of it.
Or gummies.
Gummies.
Yeah, gummies.
Gummies will usually bump up your Pokemon stats and your intelligence. And sometimes.
The thing about gummies though is that some boost better stats depending on what type you are.
Yeah. Depending on the type of Pokemon, if the color of the gummy matches the Pokemon's type, they'll usually like it more.
Sometimes it's also the opposite. Like if it's like the red gummy would also work well with like grass types. It's weird.
Yeah, instead of the fire types, yeah.
Yeah.
Something we didn't mention. Your rescue team, which will always consist of your leader up until the post-game where you don't have to use the leader.
And your partner.
Yeah, and your partner. The game starts off with just you and your partner, which have to stay with you until the end of the game, like the end of the main story. And then you can also recruit other Pokemon. Every single Pokemon that you run into can actually be recruited, but most of them have a very low recruitment rate unless you have a higher rank or a higher level for your Pokemon.
And by low, we mean negative.
Yes, we mean basically negative for
a lot of them. Yeah, especially Kecleon.
Yeah. There's some. The Pokemon that don't have negative usually don't have anything above 10%, because over the course of the game you can get up to an additional 30 to 40% added on to your recruitment rate. So it obviously would be kind of obnoxious if every other Pokemon you were downing was like, hey, I want to join your team. Hey, I want to join your team.
Well, they eventually become like that.
They eventually become like that. What have we not discussed when it comes to the dungeon crawling?
Well, you don't actually have control over your teammates. You only have control over the actual leader.
But you can give them orders.
Yeah, so you can tell them to avoid Pokemon at all costs, or just to stay with you, like follow behind.
In addition to that, the gummies, which we discussed earlier, they also give the Pokemon that ate them. They occasionally can teach them what's called IQ traits, basically. And what those do is they help the Pokemon make smarter decisions if they're AI controlled.
Yes.
Like, for instance, your Pokemon might eat a gummy and then gain a trait that allows them to scan if the Pokemon is going to throw an item. They can catch that item. Pokemon can actually throw items in this game.
You can also get like traits like way late on, to where your Pokemon can walk through walls and destroy them.
Yeah. At the start, there's very few Pokemon or any moves that can even do something like that. I know Self-Destruct will demolish the surrounding area and turn it into flat land. And Water-type Pokemon can traverse water without any problems, obviously.
And fire Pokemon can converse lava.
Yep.
And Ghost and Flying types can cover holes in the ground. And Ghosts can go through.
But
solid.
other than that, no other Pokemon can really do special stuff until later on when you can get traits that can accommodate that. Like Landon was saying earlier, you can actually tell your partner Pokemon to do certain things, which can tie into the traits that you can add on to that, so you can basically, while you don't have full control over your or whoever isn't the leader, later on in the game, you'll build up to a point where they are basically doing exactly what you want them to do.
Yep.
Pokemon obviously learn attacks just like you do in series games. You can use 4 at a time. They use up power points. Because this is a tile-based game, basically, they also have range. Certain moves can only affect in front of them, or sometimes there'll be a move that can shoot up a couple of tiles in front. Sometimes the move like Growl can actually hit adjacent Pokemon too.
I think Growl affects the entire room.
Yeah. I think, it does. It affects the entire room. That's another thing. While it's only a subtle thing, there are halls and there are also rooms on every floor. And halls are usually incredibly narrow, only 1 tile wide, and they don't really give you much room to do anything besides move through them and hope that an enemy doesn't attack you, because if they do, it's basically just on you, the leader, who's in front, to take it out.
Unless you have one of your partners that are able to attack. Yeah, they have a ranged attack.
But the rooms have plenty of room to, you have a good solid size where you can move in and you can surround your opponent and attack them. Going back to items, there's also seeds, which are exclusive to this game, and they do all sorts of stuff when they are used. They can...
Oh yeah, seeds can be quite random.
You got your Blast Seed, you got your Sleep Seed, you got your Warp Seed, you got your Revive Seed.
You have a seed that can cause an explosion in front of you for blast damage.
So that's a Blast Seed.
Yeah, the fun thing is that they also have effects if you decide to toss them at somebody.
Yeah, too. If you give them a sleep, like if you toss a sleep seed at an enemy.
That's actually a mistake.
Even if it's a boss, you can throw it at them and they'll fall asleep.
Yeah, the mistake I made is eating a sleep seed, which you're not actually supposed to do.
Yeah. Sleep seeds, if you throw them at an enemy Pokemon, it'll actually force them to eat it. It's almost like you shoved it right into their mouth and their mouth is wide open.
Come on over. I got food for you.
But,
damn it.
But the sleep seeds, if you throw them, because you don't want to eat them, because it'll put your Pokemon to sleep, it'll force the enemy to sleep if they eat it.
Or the Paralyzed Seed.
Paralyzed Seed does the same thing.
Or the Warp Seed.
Yes, the Warp Seed is one.
You can use that yourself, or you could have a little fun and just throw it at someone. Hey, I don't really want to.
Oh, that also reminds me of the actual those orbs.
Yes, there's orbs that do similar things. You just don't.
Except there's this one orb that actually teleports every single Pokemon or enemy Pokemon in the room.
I never cared for the orbs, honestly, mostly because I just like the seeds better.
Yeah.
But the orbs are fun if you have something you want to tinker with. So, oh yeah, occasionally at the end of the floor, at the end of the dungeon, you'll reach the objective when it comes to the storyline. If there's no storyline, then your aim in the mystery dungeons is to find whatever floor the mission that you have accepted is like the destination for that. You're supposed to reach what the objective that you need to reach. But if there is no objective that you're particularly going after during your trying to forward the story along, the objective is to reach the end of the dungeon and either some sort of story segment will occur, and sometimes, not always, you will also have a boss fight.
He's usually really... usually, for the most part, they're legendary Pokemon that you have boss fights with.
And these Pokemon usually have insanely high HP. And in fact, the stat system is completely different than it is in the main series games. And speed has absolutely no... It's not in the game.
No.
It's replaced with movement.
That's because you always move. You essentially move first.
But, like, let's say, for example, in contrast, say a level 15 Squirtle is bound to have between 40 and 45 HP in the main series games. Well, in Mystery Dungeon, the HP is much higher initially, and for the most part, for most of the game, it will remain this way. You could have a level 15 Squirtle, which will have 70, 80-ish. The purpose behind that, the purpose behind that is I noticed when you evolve your Pokemon, it doesn't really up their stats that much.
Well, because by the time you get to evolving the Pokemon, you've beaten the main story.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So you have to have your main party has to be able to take down like these ridiculously strong legendary Pokemon up to the final boss, Rayquaza, who's ridiculous.
So in order to balance that, they actually made it so all of the low-level Pokemon are actually fairly strong on their own, and the evolutions are really more aesthetic than anything, I guess, but they obviously have their own purpose aside from...
They are stronger in stats.
Yeah, they are stronger, but not majorly like they are in the main series.
The other reason why you'd want to evolve is for move pool reasons.
Yeah. But yeah, it is actually mandatory for Mystery Dungeon games where you have to beat the game with your low evolutionary Pokemon.
Yeah.
So, most of the bosses are legendary Pokemon. You start off in Mystery Dungeon Blue, which is what we're talking about. You have the 3 legendary birds, which are in succession. Zapdos is the first one, then Moltres, then Articuno.
Articuno's a bitch.
Oh, Articuno is that one boss.
It is that one boss. And you know what sucks?
Boss?
Articuno.
Oh.
You know what sucks? The first time I played through Blue, I was sporting Bulbasaur and Squirtle.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't get past Articuno.
The funny thing is I have it the other way around. In my current file, I have Squirtle and then Bulbasaur.
My file, I have
Wait,
Bulbasaur.
Did I say Squirtle? Should have been Mudkip. I have a Mudkip.
In my file, I was actually a Pikachu. My buddy was Bulbasaur. But then again, flying, electric, I instantly had the advantage.
What else is in the Dungeon Crawling gameplay? I already mentioned that they have, each floor has an unspecified amount of time you can spend on the floor, which is divided up it's basically calculated in turns, and if you take too many turns on the floor, it will eventually push you out.
The only way you're going to run into that is if you literally sit there and hold the fast forward button.
Yeah, you know what? I've actually done that, and I've never actually been forced out of the area.
I have.
I've only done it a couple of times. The main thing that's going to happen that's going to cause that is if you insist on exploring every inch of the floor, and it's a big floor, because sometimes in the later dungeons you can end up with pretty massive floors.
Yeah.
And if you try to explore the entire thing, by the time you're trying to run around and then find everything after that, you could end up getting pushed out.
Wait, what kicks you out?
An ominous wind.
An ominous wind, basically.
You know what? Not once have I ever ran into that.
I forced into that just to see what it was like.
What is it exactly?
It's just a wind, and you know that text blurb. You've gotten that text blurb before. Is you feel an ominous wind coming. It's literally just a wind that blows you out.
When you feel it coming, is that like the warning?
Yeah, you get a couple warnings, and then eventually it just kicks you out. I think the other main thing that's going to force you to get kicked out is if you're hunting for a very specific Pokemon, and the game's just hating on you. Just like, nope, fuck off.
Sometimes when you have to find a specific Pokemon, that Pokemon via AI roulette might just be running around the entire dungeon floor.
Oh, I'm talking about trying to, if you're trying to
I think he's talking about recruiting.
Yeah.
And then if you're trying to recruit as well, that can occur too.
Or sometimes the Pokemon you recruit, he just keeps fainting on you.
Well, he faints. They always faint because you have to knock them out first, unlike the main.
Yeah, but sometimes they'll just disappear.
Yeah, sometimes they'll just disappear and they just won't. It's all percentage based.
Yeah. Fucking 1% Kecleon when you get all the boost stats. You have to get all the boosts.
I was trying to get a freaking.
And then even then, the only.
It's 1%.
What is the pre-evolved form of Sheldon?
Bagon?
Yeah, him. I was trying to get him for the longest time.
I'm trying to think of what else.
Okay.
Oh, parties, which can consist of
up to 4.
But most Pokemon have a body. All Pokemon have a body size. Most of them, their body size is set to 1, and some of them have 2, some of them have 3, and some of the biggest ones have 4.
Essentially, legendaries are 3 to 4.
Yeah.
In other words, what it is the Pokemon that are bigger usually are more powerful, and therefore they have to take up more space, and they balance out by allowing you less Pokemon to use.
That's also another reason why they force you to wait on evolving.
Yeah, because certain Pokemon will actually bump up in body size.
Yeah, so you wouldn't have,
Yeah, like if I'm correct, I think an Onix is a body size of 3, and then Steelix is 4, something like that.
Something, or 2 and 3.
Yeah, it's 2 and 3, or 3 and 4, it's something like that. But anyway, another reason why they do that is because they want you to be able to work with pretty much everything in the game that you will be able to recruit during the first run is a body size 1. So you can run with a max team of 1.
Yeah.
You actually, at one point in the game, will encounter an Absol which will join your team. So you actually, even if you don't go and use the Pokemon that you will definitely be recruiting at some point, you will at least have Absol. So the game does give you a chance or two to have something on your team, regardless of the luck that you run into.
Yeah.
So some of the early Pokemon are easy to get.
I got Magnemite, and that thing...
He's like guaranteed, though.
That thing is tank. Yeah, and they give you Magnemite, too. Magnemite's tank.
Yeah, I've actually, for the longest time, I always tend to drag around my Magnemite.
Like, unlike the main games where Magnemite's HP is craptacular, I think my Magnemite level 15 is HP is like over 100. I was like, Jesus Christ.
You should have seen it when I got my Magnemite level 30. Mother of God.
I think that actually covers the gameplay when it comes to dungeons. Because
Yeah, I think that's
size.
pretty much
Body size, belly.
Yeah, the body size, belly. The biggest. The belly is really not going to be important until you're doing the 99 floor dungeons.
Then you'll start starving to death, so you just need a couple apples on you.
Each Pokemon can hold, I think it's like one item at a time, but then there's a bag.
Yeah, you have a bag which
you can store 2 pages worth of items.
It's like 20 something.
And then after that you can only like either use the stuff you have or get rid of it.
There's actually, I can't remember who stores it.
There's a bank.
Kangaskhan.
Yeah, Kangaskhan.
Kangaskhan. Yeah, Kangaskhan. Sure? Oh yeah, Persian is the bank.
Yeah, Persian's money bank. Kangaskhan's the item storage. Kangaskhan's always the item storage.
Oh, and then there's Wigglytuff's little friend thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The friends. Yeah. So the friends storage in this game is different from Time and Darkness. The way this one works is you have Wonder Zones, which house specific number of Pokemon. So basically, like you can have. What's a good example? The plains. Like each, there's different areas, and each one has like maybe 1 to 3 maps that hold like anywhere between literally 1 for legendaries to what 20 something Pokemon, and so the goal is to eventually fill that up with every single Pokemon.
And the thing with the friends though is that
instead of a gotta catch them all, it's a gotta recruit them all.
The thing about the friends though is that like when you defeat a Pokemon, you have like a chance of them going, oh hey, I want to join you. But there's the catch. If you don't actually own the area that they're sent to when you recruit them, you won't be able to.
Yeah, you can't even recruit them. Going back to Landon talk and Justin talking about Kecleon, here's the fun fact. Kecleon is not only the only Pokemon with the lowest, like the Pokemon with the lowest recruitment rate, and that so much so that it makes it impossible.
So balls hard. He moves like 4 times.
But Kecleon, the only way to reach him is if Kecleon
steal an item.
He's the item shop owner, and they will occasionally pop up in the dungeon. It's rare that it happens, but if you do, you can actually choose to try to steal the item and run away. If you try to leave the room that they're in, because they'll always be in a room. And if you try to leave the carpet that they have set up to try to run away with the item you wanted to steal, if you decide to try to run away, they will attack you. And they have wicked strong attacks.
They move like 4 times.
And they can move multiple times before you can move. They get like, well, I wouldn't say, maybe later on in the game they can do it 4 times, but what I've seen, they usually get to move like maybe twice. But regardless, they have wicked strong attacks, and if you aren't like leveled up properly enough, they will kill you.
They're literally like level 80.
Yeah,
they are meant. They are meant to basically. You don't get to fight them until you are pretty much ready for the final dungeon of the after game.
You have to be level 100.
This is in the first game where stealing would cause you to get your ass handed.
Yeah. And on top of that, in order to recruit them, you have to max level. You have to have the special item that will give you a boost in recruitment rate, and even then, it's less than 1% chance that they'll even join you.
You have to have max rank as well.
Yeah, that too. But I think that about covers that.
It's like what is it? Like 0.1%?
Yeah, 10%. It's 0.1%.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
So that is.
That's pretty much.
You have. When you pause the game, you can go into the menu system, which has crap stuff.
Everything.
Oh yeah, going back since we kind of skipped out on a piece of the game, you have a base, And this base is where you will wake up every morning to start any adventure. Later on in the game, you actually can get some Mankey to remodel your base for you. And at one point in the game, when you become a refugee because of Gengar's team, you actually cannot return to that base.
Oh, which is a pain in the ass if you're actually a lower level than you should be at that point.
Oh, yeah. I learned that the hard way.
That's why I could not beat Articuno, minus the fact that it would insta-kill me.
Actually, yeah, the last time I actually became a fugitive, I was not ready for those dungeons, and I got my ass handed to me quite a few times.
But the base will actually has a mailbox right outside, and you can read up on the newsletters for tips that they give you throughout the game, and then you can also accept the missions that you sent from the that you took from the post office, like the bulletin board right outside there.
They can also send you ones. Like,
the mailbox.
Requests.
They'll also send you special requests too.
This is how you sometimes activate certain events, like the Deoxys.
Yep. A lot of the after game stuff actually relies on your mailbox, which will give you the special quests. But yeah, you can level that up, and then if you go to the left while you're in that base area, you can go to your friend areas. Going south brings you to the dungeon selection menu, where you can select which dungeon to go to. And on the menu screen, if you have to pause gameplay, you can look into your team's stats, all of their moves and all that. You have the IQ traits of all the Pokemon that you have. You have your items, your job list that you've selected. And if you go to the dungeons and pause, oh my god, there's so many menus.
But you eventually just become familiar with every single one.
Yeah. What do we want to talk about next?
There's the art style.
Well, I want to stay on. I want to stay on the topic of gameplay for a bit.
What else is there for the gameplay?
Well, we talked about the final bosses of Rayquaza, and then after you beat him, you unlock
post-game.
You unlock the post game, which has about as many dungeons as the main game consisted of.
Yeah, pretty much. If not more.
These dungeons can range anywhere from 24s to 99.
Yeah.
It's essentially Iron Man mode.
There's a couple of dungeons early on in the post game which are kind of the same thing that you've seen the rest of the game, but are basically a little bit extra, and then you unlock the really crazy dungeons.
The ones that you set your level to level 1, and then you start grinding from there.
There's even one dungeon I remember. Not only does it set you to level 1, but you're alone. You can't bring any teammates in.
Oh, goody.
It's just you.
That essentially tests how pro you are.
I want to say that's the Mew one, but I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what dungeon
You didn't really have his own dungeon, because he kind of traversed and randomly showed up in another person.
Oh, I'm thinking of a different... wait, I'm thinking of the other game.
Yeah.
Which was it?
He doesn't quite have his own dungeon in this game.
No, this one. Shit, which one was it? I forget.
Wasn't it the one for, not Mewtwo?
No, it's not Mewtwo.
Deoxys dungeon? No, Deoxys actually had a random dungeon where he kind of showed up in forms.
His was, but you had partners in that one.
Yeah.
God, I don't even.
I don't know what that one is.
I'm trying to look into it real quick.
To Bulbapedia.
Yes.
Bulbapedia doesn't say shit. Come on, man.
Really?
He randomly shows up in the Buried Relic dungeon on floors anywhere from 36 to 98, which is the dungeon with... Oh, it's actually, the buried relic dungeon doesn't contain a boss. It can randomly contain you and the 3 Reggies, though. The 3 Reggies will pop up in they are actually bosses midway through the dungeons. Reggie Rock is 15 floors in, Reggie S is 25 floors in, and Reggie Steel is 35 floors in. And then Mew will randomly appear after that. So it technically is Mew's dungeon, but there's no end boss of the dungeon. But anyway, even the boss, yeah. Actually, I lied. There's more dungeons in the after game than there are in the main game. You have friggin' Stormy Sea, Silver Trench, Meaty Cave, Fiery Field, Lightning Field, North
Lavern Hill, Solar Cave,
Mount Faraway, Western Cave, North Range, Pitfall Valley,
North Relic, Grand Sea.
Wow. Waterfall Pond, Mains Island, Marvelous Sea, Unknown Dungeon. Yep. But anyway,
Tower.
some of those are wireless only dungeons.
Yes.
There's a couple of dungeons where you can only explore them if
it's Purity Forest, that's the one that has the team members only.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's home to Celebi. Oh, that's the one.
Yep.
That one is a dick.
And nothing in that's actually recruitable.
So yeah, you're pretty much stuck by yourself.
What else can we mention? They also have TMs in the game, just like in the main series.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a couple of TMs which aren't actual TMs in the main series games, and there's actually a couple of attacks that exist only in the Mystery Dungeon games. I can't remember. One of them's like vacuum cut or something.
That one is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, the TMs though work the same way as they did in the main series.
Pretty much.
Which is kind of funny because the TMs are still like the little disc things according to their icons. And, at this point you assume that they can't use human-made stuff.
Who the fuck cares?
I don't know if that was an oversight or it's just because it's a staple of the series.
Probably just because it's a staple.
Yeah, I want to say that too.
But yeah, as a general idea of just letting you viewers who are listening to this.
Reading.
Yeah, reading. There are 21 bosses in this game, and only 7 of them are in the main story.
Yeah.
2/3 of them. Yeah, 2/3 of them come after the game.
Yeah, the whole Celebi thing. Yeah, Celebi is the only thing you can recruit.
Yep, it's ridiculous.
It's guaranteed, but you have to go through 99 floors of hell.
By yourself, starting at level 1.
Oh, goody.
GG. GG.
98 out of 99?
Oh. You mad, Pooh Bear? I'm mad. Yeah.
Oh, I would be mad.
It would be that Salamence that fucks you up.
There's 2 bosses at the beginning of the game which are not legendary, and then all the rest of them are legendary Pokemon.
Yep.
Skarmory and Team Meanies are the only non-legendary bosses.
Then you have Meanies.
Then you have Zapdos, Moltres, Articuno, Groudon, Rayquaza for the main game. Kyogre, which is probably going to be the first and most oftenly done after game boss. Then you have the Reggies.
My body is Reggie.
You have Lugia, Ho-Oh.
Yeah.
So Ho-Oh. Is there Mewtwo in it?
Mewtwo.
Yeah. One of the last bosses.
Yeah.
Just like with just like the main series Pokemon games, which have differences between the versions, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red and Blue have differences depending on their versions. And to give you an idea, these are usually version exclusive Pokemon, like Antine can only be found in Red Rescue Team, while in Blue Rescue Team you can get Lapras.
Luckily, though, there is a way around this, and it's the Wonder Mail. You punch in a code that will basically force a letter onto you force a letter into the game. You select that letter as you want to do that, and then you go do the mission. Usually these are fairly easy missions, and then you basically get a free Pokemon out of it, or you can get specific codes for specific items. So if you want a certain gummy to help with your IQ boosting, there you go. Go farm.
Oh yeah, I remember there's a code entry thing in that game.
And sometimes you need specific codes to unlock specific dungeons.
Yeah, I remember that.
What else can we talk about?
You can also transfer the Pokemon if you have a DS system and you have both games.
Yeah. See, that was pretty interesting. It's just I never got to do it.
Unfortunately, I noticed that if Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team early copies of the game, if it was inserted into any DS Pokemon game that wasn't the Mystery Dungeon one, it actually sometimes could wipe the data of that game.
It's a good thing I never did that.
Yeah. Here it is. It's just the Japanese one. The original Japanese release of Blue Rescue Team would wipe the data from the Game Boy Advance game with the Nintendo DS second slot unless it was Red Rescue Team. So I flipped it around. I had the wrong one.
God damn.
Yep. But that was fixed in the international releases of the other days.
Yes.
Good day.
I could see the look on a Japanese fan's face, like they're playing their Blue Rescue Team and they got something like Super Mario Advance 3 Perfect File or something, and then they go in to play that game after, and it's like, what happened to my?
Where's my?
It's a good day to be an American.
America.
Fuck yeah.
Did you guys have any favorite dungeons?
Oh God.
The one that didn't kick my ass?
You mean none of them?
Tiny Woods?
That's because you have a tiny wood. I'll be here all night. Honestly, I think I had more out of the second game. But, I think I like Solar Cave. If I remember that one right. Or, the one... Fuck.
Do you remember what it looked like, at least?
I liked Mount Blaze.
Mount Blaze was cool.
Mount Blaze was cool. I liked Mount Blaze because, unlike most fire-themed levels, which only contain fire-type Pokemon, Mount Blaze also had mountain-style and cavern-style Pokemon. Like, I think there was Lairon or Aron there.
Yeah.
There's a couple of rock-type Pokemon there, too.
Is it just me, or did Mount Thunder look more like it was, like, more ice? Like, because the environment, the way it looks sometimes, would look more like it was snowing.
I don't really see it. It seems like more of those, one of those windy, dark kind of mountains. Like, the kind of mountain you would see if you were to hike up a mountain during a thunderstorm.
Yeah, I guess.
I wasn't too big on Mount Thunder. It was kind of cool, I guess. One of my favorite areas, though, was in this one, because like Landon, my favorites are mostly found in the sequel, but one of my favorites from the original game is probably the Lapis Cave.
Yeah, Lapis Cave's cool.
I like Lapis because it was kind of unusual to find at that point in the game. And then the Sky Tower was actually really cool. I like the Sky Tower.
Oh, that was hell, especially against Rayquaza at the very end. I was not ready for that, and somehow I beat him.
Honestly, the thing that I like about Sky Tower, though, is there's one thing that I've wanted to see in a main series Pokemon game, and it's a really crazy idea, but I've always wanted to see some kind of area where you somehow manage to go up into the clouds, and you get to, you get something unusual like that, like going up into the clouds or being able to explore, parts of space. I thought that would be cool, and, the fact that Sky Tower was literally a tower of clouds I just got caught off guard by it. I was like, wow, this is really sweet.
I think my favorite was actually Joyous Tower. It's one of those 99 floor ones that start you off at level 1. but I think I liked it the most because that's the one that gave you access to most of the starter Pokemon.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they actually do have the ability to give you a starter Pokemon.
So even in Mystery Dungeon, Landon has to get all his starters.
I have to get all the Bulbasaurs.
Landon, would you have a full team of Bulbasaur?
I would have a full team of Bulbasaur.
If only his partner would stay at Bulbasaur too.
By that point in the game, it is a Bulbasaur.
What was another? Because honestly, like you said, a lot of my dungeon favorites are in the second one.
It's because they had... Well, the problem with the first one is the aesthetic is usually, used a lot of times over and over again.
Yeah. Which we might as well get into that next. Graphics.
For the first game, there's not much you can really ask for too much out of.
It actually looks pretty nice.
It does look nice, so...
I have to admit, when you play it for the first time, it's very, very interesting to see Pokemon in a totally different style.
Yeah, isometric view.
You have, you have the same perspective, but everything is very low. There's no technology since Pokemon don't know how to utilize it. So you have very natural environments everywhere. The only exceptions to this are a couple of friend areas, which are like the power plant and stuff.
Yeah.
But everything's very natural. You have ponds and lakes and towers and caverns and mountains and forests and jungles, I think, in a couple of places.
Yeah, there's some jungles and bottom of the ocean.
Ice mountains and ice caves. You have the Sky Tower, which I mentioned before. The thing is they have so many dungeons that, like you said, a lot of the aesthetics get reused between dungeons. Aside from the elemental-themed dungeons, which are Mount Thunder, Mount Blaze, and especially Forest and Mount Freeze, other than those elemental-themed ones where you fight the legendary birds, most of the pre-post-game dungeons you won't find too much repeating, but by the time you get to the post-dungeon, you're going to see a lot of dungeons that look the same. Not exactly the same, but similar.
Well, there's a shit ton of water dungeons.
Yeah.
Like Silver Trench and Stormy Sea and stuff.
Far Off Sea, yeah. It's kind of ridiculous, but...
Stormy Sea was one of the post-game dungeons, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, Stormy Sea is actually the first, one of the first ones, too.
Because you need a dive to get it, which you can't get in the main plot.
Yeah. Uproar Forest is actually a bonus dungeon, but it's not part of the after game because you can actually do it before then. What was
Yeah.
Howling Forest?
Yes.
I think
No.
Oh, I was just gonna say I like Silver Trench mainly because that's where I could get Lugia.
Howling Forest is just a regular bonus dungeon. Doesn't really. But yeah, the first after game dungeon you'll unlock is Stormy Sea.
Yeah.
I think I liked the Pokemon sprites.
Yeah, the Pokemon sprites are
cool.
the Pokemon sprites are made to be able to fit around in a small space, so they can move one tile at a time.
Yeah.
You may have noticed this, but these sprites, most, if not all of them, get reused for the Pokemon following sprites in Heart Gold Soul Silver, and many of the overworld Pokemon sprites, when you see them, are except for legendary Pokemon, which have a special kind usually.
That's because they're a lot bigger.
Yeah, they're all actually reused for Mystery Dungeon. Mystery Dungeon actually, the main series games owe Mystery Dungeon a lot when it comes to the Pokemon sprites.
Mystery Dungeon, I honestly think, had the most well-detailed Pokemon of its time.
It's because it was also the first for the DS games. It was like
it
was.
Blue was the first one, so.
But yeah, Generation 4 and onward, when it comes to overworld sprites for the Pokemon that you see, they owe a lot to Mystery Dungeon. Mystery Dungeon is what started that whole thing. Like, yeah, you saw it in the main series games, like, you could see Pokemon on the overworld with sprites, for, like, Generation 3 games had it, but when you got the detailed ones, that's all thanks to Mystery Dungeon.
Yep.
I did like that. I like Stormy Sea's aesthetic, because it was just, I just liked the very cool vibe it had.
Yeah.
I like the town.
The town is pretty nice. I admit, I kind of like it better in the sequel, but
that's because you also have the guild. You also have the guild in that, so...
The guild in that one was really cool.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that you have your own base in the original game, and the fact that it can change its appearance a couple of times throughout the game. That was cool.
Giant mudkip head.
Yes, your base will actually be modeled after your leader Pokemon.
It'll be your face.
Giant mudkip head.
So, hey, yo dog, I heard you like mudkips, so I put a mudkip in your mudkip.
So you can mudkip while you mudkip.
You know, I've heard of an out-of-body experience, but not an in-body experience.
Yeah. So you can be a Bulbasaur inside of a Bulbasaur.
I'm a Swampert inside of a mudkip, actually.
So, musically.
There's some really good tunes. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah.
There's some forgetful tunes, and some tunes are reused, but there's a lot of catchy ones too.
There's what is it? The one with the magma pit. I know there's like a unique song to that one.
One thing I liked about the games is there's a lot of video games where they try to overdo themselves with the music. Like they try to create these like big epic sprawling songs. But Mystery Dungeon throws that all away in favor of basic but very catchy tunes.
Yeah.
While they don't they don't have a like every dungeon. No. They have like quite a few tunes that are simple enough that you can memorize them. You can kind of end up humming along to some of them.
And luckily you won't go crazy doing a 99 floor run. Listen to them.
Yeah, that's another thing. Normally, friggin', some games, they have music where you just don't want to hear it by the end of the dungeon, but Mystery Dungeon, you probably won't get that annoyed by the music.
Yeah.
It's nice.
If there's one 99 dungeon one I definitely had to do, It was Western Cave, so I could get Mewtwo.
Whatever. No one cares. Mewtwo is trash.
On a scale of trash to 10, what do you give Mewtwo?
I give him utter trash.
Anyway, Mystery Dungeon.
Shuckle has a recruitment rate of 6.9.
You would.
It was Mayfield, Landon.
They understand, Landon. Shunsoft understands.
Thank you.
You're gonna write a letter to Chunsoft, which is just like a giant love letter now.
Dear Chunsoft, I was recently reviewing the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red and Blue series, getting myself hyped for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Gates of
Infinity.
Of Infinity and beyond. And I noticed while looking through the dungeons that Shuckle had a recruitment rate base of 6.9%. I thought I would just tell you guys how amazing you are, and thank you. Thank you, thank you. Please have my babies.
Yeah. Anything else you want to mention about Mystery Dungeon?
Babies.
What about the multiplayer? Have you done the multiplayer?
God, no.
Okay.
Wait, the multiplayer as in, I just got my ass kicked. Can you come save me?
That's about it.
Because if you just restarted, I think you'd lose some stuff.
I think the multiplayer in Time and Darkness were a little improved compared to the first ones.
I think that's also because the first ones were Game Boy Advance and DS.
So unless you had 2 copies of
the same one,
and 2 systems,
yeah,
then it was
yeah.
Because either you needed the link cables or you needed the Wi-Fi. Because you can't really play both games at once on the same system.
Yeah.
We don't have that good of Blackron technology yet.
Well, you could have used DS Wireless.
Yes.
But regardless, multiplayer was kind of an afterthought.
It's really not something you need, because...
No, not really. It's much better in the sequel.
Yes.
Anything that we haven't talked about that we could talk about? Any Pokemon that you recruited that you were pretty happy to have, because sometimes because of the recruitment rate, you might recruit something and then not recruit something else, and then another player might have gotten lucky enough to recruit one Pokemon but not another one.
I have to throw up my system.
I mean, it is Pokemon after all. In Pokemon, you're bound to have different stuff.
I honestly forget a lot of the things I've recruited in this game because it's been so long. I remember my other game a lot more. Time.
Let's see what I got.
I'd have to go. Come on. Yes, I know. Nintendo made this game. I know Chunsoft. I know.
I actually nicknamed all my Pokemon.
I know.
I have Spade, Geo, Magna the Magnemite. I have Farf, which is a Farfetch. Letty, which is a Diva.
Hey, you know how we share a brain? Because that was actually the name of my Magnemite.
Oh god. Ziggy the Zigzagoon. I named my Absol Alistair. Alistair's the name of my Absol.
I actually named, Who
do I have for Spade? Oh, Spade is the Spearow. Okay.
What?
Yeah, I have a Spearow named Spade.
Okay. I think I named my,
high-level Pokemon.
What was it? I was just, thinking of either names I've made or names I just felt like naming them. I think I named my, Salamence? I think I just named him Draco for shits and giggles.
I have so many Pokemon, it's not funny. I have 12 pages of Pokemon. Shit, Eradicate, what level are you? I don't know. God, none of these guys are that super high level, so I don't know which ones I was really using too much of. Oh, Sand Slash, I think I used him a lot.
I think most of them you just got just to get.
Probably. I have like 3 fucking Zubats, so...
But, anything else we need to talk about that we can talk about?
No. I can't think of anything.
So, I guess we'll go and wrap up then.
Yeah.
Alright, overall, who wants to start?
Not me.
You like to save yours for last, don't you?
Yes.
Alright, Justin, why don't you go first?
Oh, okay.
I think it was a pretty good game. It was definitely different from most of the other Pokemon games. Actually, when I first played the game, I'm like, oh my god, what do? Because I had no experience with those types of games. But eventually I learned how to play it. I learned that, tile moving can be a bitch if you're not prepared for it. I also learned, make sure you're leveled up properly before you get into an area where you can't head back and Pokemon are beating your ass. The graphics are pretty nice. I think it's actually the most well-detailed Pokemon game of its time, obviously, because, it was like the first real DS game for it, so that's to be expected.
And as a Game Boy Advance game, it's actually probably top-of-the-line graphics, pretty much.
Yeah, actually...
It was the last one, so it better be.
Yeah, it was actually the best-looking Game Boy Advance Pokemon game I've also seen, considering that's the one I own. So, yeah, the graphics are top-notch. Gameplay was really fun, addicting to the point that I actually did the 99 floors, so, yeah, if I could do that, then I think that's a success in my book. Overall, pretty good game. I still actually play it. So, yeah.
That's you?
Yep.
Alright, my opinion on Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red and Blue. I think that it's really neat that they managed to split it between 2 different systems for the versions. That's something that they never really did before, and few companies have ever really done that for any kind of game.
Yeah.
I thought that was really neat because it gives people who have already taken the heads up and gotten the new system, they can play it. And then there's people who still haven't yet moved on to the new system, they can do that too. I thought that was a really neat idea. Like Justin said, as a Game Boy Advance game, I think it has some really good graphics for its time. The detailed Pokemon sprites are probably the best example. Then you have the lush, colorful environments that you have. It's a shame that some of the aesthetics get reused a little bit. It's not really a major.
Clouds.
It's not really a major. It's not really a major complaint.
Chasing the clouds.
The gameplay is pretty fun. It's a little bit frustrating because the bigger dungeons and having to retreat sometimes or dying on a dungeon can be. It's very unforgiving. Honestly, especially for the after game, I honestly can't say that this is a casual-minded game. This is a more hardcore game in a sense.
Yeah, he'll kick your ass.
It's very, very different from the main series games, so much so that it might be able to introduce you to the Pokemon series if you weren't all that interested in the main series. Out of all the different spin-off series that have come out over the years, I do have a soft spot for Mystery Dungeon above all the others. The music's decent. There's some tracks that are not really, memorable as others, but I can't lie when I say, some of them are really catchy. To this day, I still remember. I have the town music playing in my head right now.
Oh God! I knew he was gonna do that.
Thanks, Landon.
Well, chasing clouds.
It's a very big game too. Besides the main quest, which is actually at least a decent 15 or so hours in, you also have an after game that can span dozens and dozens of hours.
About as long as it'll take you to beat a main series Pokemon.
Yeah, it will take you about as long as you would play a main series game. It's full of content.
You can pump 200 hours into these type of games easy.
I have.
The turn-based dungeon crawling gameplay, like I said before, very nice spin-off of the Pokemon series, which can help draw in people that aren't so keen on the regular series itself. It's also definitely accessible to people who like these kind of games that aren't Pokemon fans to begin with, because it plays a lot like those games anyway. The story for a Pokemon game, I thought it was honestly some of the best story that Pokemon's game's done. It gives you a real sense of intensity when you're running from all of your friends, and they're all chasing after you, and you're a refugee fleeing through 3 different dungeons, having to frickin' defeat legendary Pokemon in order to prove that you are not causing these problems. It's a really good story, actually, in my opinion, when it comes to Pokemon. Definitely one of the better stories they've had. The replay value, it's definitely worth replaying again if you have the time for it. Multiplayer, don't need it. Overall, I can't say it's an amazing game because it does have its faults, but it is a good game, and it is definitely worth the time investment.
Yeah.
So, Landon, take it away.
God. Oh, God. I'm chasing clouds. You can't go through there. Don't go that way, Cloud. Oh, okay. Fine, Cloud. Be an asshole.
I mean, Cloud. I'm in your game.
Yes, the dark clouds flying all over the place. My Swampert needs to chase all of them. What? Oh, right. I love you, Chunsoft. Thank you. Thank you.
Are you seriously just gonna bend over with your anus spread wide open?
Why would I do that? I'm the one who's planting the seed.
Oh.
They're having my children. I'm not having their children. Ugh. Weirdo. Anyway, what I think. Well, I'm very biased when it comes to the 3 Dungeon series because honestly, my favorite Pokemon games. Your Pokemon Red and Blue and shit. It's all good, nice. And your Orange, it's all good. You can have your Pokemon Purple. I'll take my Pokemon Mystery Dungeon any day. I think that, yeah. I think these games aren't as accessible as the second incarnations.
Yeah,
but these games do, like, I will always hold a special place in my heart for Pokemon Blue Rescue Team. And I love it. I love it to death, even if it's balls to the wall hard.
It is hard.
It is. It's a hard game. It's a hard game.
Especially Purity Forest.
God. I think that... What else do I think? I think I came a little inside. I want the new game now. God damn it, guys. This was just such a like Fire Emblem Awakening. Hold me over. I think I spotted a hipster.
Oh, God.
Oh. What? God, I don't even know what I was going to say. You were talking for so long, and I was chasing clouds for so long. It was so weird. I think it looks good, sounds good, plays good. Just want to choose something.
You're reminding me of the movie Talladega Nights when friggin' Ricky Bobby's like car can't feel good.
Story's good. Although I do like the second. See, the problem is there's the second one. It's like I like that one more.
The game she can't feel good.
Yeah, they really improved with the second one, so it's like I love that one more. But I love blue. But I love time. But I love blue. Can't I just mix them together?
Fuse them.
I fuse them. What would their child look like?
Mystery Dungeon Blue Time.
Well, actually,
and Red Darkness.
Red Darkness. Well, the thing is, the case for Explorers of Time is blue.
Oh yeah, that's right. And Darkness is red. So Red Darkness and Blue Time.
Oh God, it's happening. It's happening.
And then they fuse together to make Pokemon Green Rescue Team.
Well, there is Sky.
Pokezords. Anyway, so Landon, on a scale of 1 to jizz in your pants, what do you give this game?
It's on the walls. It's on the ceiling.
It's sexual eruption.
Oh. It's in the corner of the house. It's in the far corner of the house. It's all the way. It's everywhere.
Justin, what would you give this game?
Let's see. I'd honestly get it 9.5.
That's really high.
I think I'm okay with that.
I can't enjoy a video game?
You gave it a really high score.
So?
That surprises me. I would have to give it a 7.5, which...
Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out.
No.
Get the fuck out of my call.
No.
Yes, it's happened. No, you can't
finish. 7.5 on my scale is actually pretty high.
No. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Okay, what would you give the second one?
The second one I would give either the same or an 8. Landon, I'm sorry.
What? That's what I thought. That's what I thought, bitch.
I'm sorry, but I'm not giving any of the games a perfect 10. Sir, stop that.
Okay. Is it still recording?
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, so anyway.
I'm right, you're wrong.
Any final word on this?
Not for you.
Okay. So, I guess next time, if Justin plays the sequel, we can do a review for that.
Yeah, Justin.
But until then, we'll see you next time on another GamingStooges Talks.
See ya.
Bye. It's everywhere.